Well, hello. My name is Scott Klingon, and I want to add my voice to the others that I hope have already welcomed you to our BSF class. In the next few minutes, I want to give you a few ways to maximize your involvement in BSF and help you understand a little bit about who we are and how we do things. If you've joined BSF for the first time, you may not know that you've joined an organization that includes over 400,000 men, women, and children who are studying God's Word through BSF this year in over 1,200 classes in 140 nations. So you're part of a large organization now. Each one of them hopefully understand our fourfold approach, and that's what I want to take a minute to explain to you here, and then show you how to access the resources to participate in that fourfold approach. So let me turn over here to a website that I've pulled up, and this is bsfinternational.org, so you can find out more about it if you want to. And in here, we explain our fourfold approach. The first aspect of that fourfold approach is that you would answer questions on your own as God speaks to you as you open up His Word. You'll see in a minute that those lessons are organized in 6 individual daily sections, and we encourage you to study God's Word daily. So between the first class night and the next class night, there are 6 days, and you can study the passage that we're going to be studying in those 6 days. So we encourage you to do that on your own. Now, if you're not able to complete the lesson, come to class anyway. We'll have an opportunity for you to share and to just be in fellowship with your other group members. But when you do come to class night and you start out with a small group discussion, that's when you'll have the opportunity to just talk about what you've learned through the course of your study that week. And as importantly, listen to what other group members have learned in their study as well. And we hope that engenders a conversation among the group, maybe some new insights that strike you in the moment during that discussion group. So that's the second aspect, is that small group discussion. And then the third aspect of the fourfold approach is a large group lecture. Either me as the teaching leader or our substitute teaching leaders will share some thoughts in about a 30-minute lecture on the same passage, trying to identify some principles that we could draw out of the text and some applications for our daily lives. And then finally, the fourth aspect of that fourfold approach is a set of notes, a commentary on that same passage. So by the time you've been through the fourfold approach, you've studied that passage in 4 different ways. And I believe you'll know it a little more deeply and find richer application because of having done it that way. So you may say, Scott, that's great. How do I access these questions that you talk about? And that takes us to mybsf.org. Once we have your email address, we'll use that to set up a username for you, and then you can set up your own password. And you can go to mybsf.org, and here you can access the notes and questions and many other resources from BSF. Now, a few navigational things I want to let you know is that, first of all, you'll see here we've got a lesson number, and that identifies one of the 30 lessons for each year's studies. And then you'll see the passage that we'll be studying in that lesson, and then probably most importantly, the day in which we'll be discussing it. So if you miss class for 1 week, you can always go back and make sure that you're on the right date so that when you come to class, you'll have the right lesson prepared. Down here is where you'll access the lessons and the notes. You'll see that you can get the adult questions in either Word format, or you can listen to the questions in an MP3 format. You can get the notes in an MP3 format. But then we've also put them all together, the adult lesson and the notes, in a single PDF form. Now, I want to give you a word of caution, which is the first question or the first day's questions of every lesson really takes us back and does a brief review of the previous week's lesson. So, for example, in this lesson 6, the PDF will have both the questions and notes for lesson 6, but the first day's questions in the adult lesson will actually reference the notes from lesson 5. So you'll have to go back to the previous lesson to read those notes so that you can answer those first day's questions. Make sure you at least try out the MP3 file for the questions and for the notes. Many of our participants really enjoy listening to the notes as opposed to reading the notes. So we've got the questions ready for your discussion, the notes, but the third aspect of the fourfold approach is here as well, and that's the lecture. The lecture is typically posted by about 10 o'clock on class night, which in our case is Monday night. We give a live lecture in our class on Monday, and then we try to get it posted later that evening. And in here, you'll see a video recording of that lecture and an outline, the outline for the lecture and the principles that we've drawn from this week's lesson. So if you miss class for any reason, then you may be able to access this lecture the next day or sometime during the course of the week. Now you can watch it, but you'll notice there's also a tab here for listening as well. So look around My BSF once you get there. There are a lot of other things that you can do here. You can give to BSF. There are some resources. There's a BSF store if you want a printed copy of all the lessons and notes bound together. You can buy one there. So that's one aspect of the way that you can really get to know BSF. The other one I want to tell you about is our Bible Study Fellowship app. This is for the Google Play Store. There's also an app for the in the Apple Store as well. And this will give you access on your tablet or your smartphone to the same questions, same notes, and even the same lecture aspect as well once you use your username and password to sign in. If you already have it on your app, you may have it from a previous year. I want you to delete that and update that because they've added that lecture feature in this application, in this new version of the application as well. Finally, before you go, one more thing. I just want to give you a brief view of the questions and notes themselves. This is the PDF that we have here. This corresponds to Lesson 6 as well. Give you a brief idea of what this has. First of all, remember, we'll read Lesson 5's notes. You can answer those questions, maybe a question about the lecture. And in the second day, the third day, fourth day, and fifth day, we'll give you opportunities to answer questions, to fill in written answers. Use these as a prompt, if you will. Don't feel like you'll have to read every answer in your discussion group word by word, or you could if you wanted to. But if you also want to just jot down some ideas of what the passage, ways you'd answer those questions so that you can share that when you get to class. And then typically our sixth day question is a review of the whole class, the study for that week, and really challenges you to think a little bit about how you can apply that to your life. So I hope that you get a great enjoyment out of your time in BSF. Our goal is that we would magnify God and mature his people. I hope for you that you find great community in BSF. You find God meeting you as you study his word on your own, and you find fellowship with other people who care about what God says in his word. So welcome to the class. We're glad to have you, and I look forward to meeting you in person. Thanks.